In the years they have been together, they have grown to love and understand each other. And now the time has come to make this firm and continuing commitment, for they have decided to live together as partners for life. All in attendance today are the most important people in their lives. And Becky and Frank have asked me to recognize the significant roles each and every one of you has played. So it is fitting that we are all here together to witness their marriage. Becky and Frank would also like to recognize those who could not be here today. Perhaps most notably, because he refused to dress in the required tuxedo and bow tie, Cody. But be assured, he is here in spirit. There are none more important in influencing the lives of Becky and Frank than their parents. With that being said, I now ask, who gives Becky away in marriage to this man? Her mother and father. Marriage gives permanence and structure to a couple's love. It's a way to tell one another that no matter how much you snore, or how many foster dogs you bring home, we are still in this together. Marriage is telling the person you love that you aren't going anywhere. And that's a powerful commitment for two people to make to one another. A good marriage must be built on the foundation of this commitment. In marriage, the little things are the big things. It's never being too old to hold hands. It is remembering to say, I love you, at least once every day. It's never going to sleep angry. It's standing together to face the world. It is speaking words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in thoughtful ways. It is not expecting perfection from each other and understanding everyone occasionally has a bad day. It is having the capacity to forgive and to forget. It is cultivating flexibility, patience, understanding, and most of all, a sense of humor. It is giving each other an atmosphere in which each can grow. It is establishing a relationship in which the independence is equal, the dependence is mutual, and the obligation is reciprocal. And perhaps most important, it is not only marrying the right partner, it is being the right partner. I'd like to invite Becky's sisters-in-law, Julia and Mallory, forward for a reading. And I hope one of them can pronounce the author of the piece.
All blondes.
All right, I'll be reading along with Julia, Captain Crowley's Mandolin by Louis Bernier. Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes and then it subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your roots have so entwined together that it is inconceivable that you should ever part. Because this is what love is. Love is not breathlessness. It is not excitement. It is not the promulgation of eternal passion. That is just being in love, which angels
Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away, and then souls in heart, fortune, fate. Those who truly love have roots that grow towards each other underground, and when all the pretty blossoms bloom from their branches, they find that they're one tree and now two.
That's lovely, thank you. We have some questions to ask you both. Frank, do you Becky to share your life with you. Do you promise to love and to respect her, to help and to forgive her, and to instill hope in her? Do you dedicate yourself to her in sickness and in health, in joy and in sorrow, in good times and in bad? And do you pledge to be hers, and hers alone, for as long as you both shall live? Becky, do you choose Frank to share your life with you? Do you promise to love and respect him, to help and to forgive him, and to instill hope in him? Do you dedicate yourself to him in sickness and in health, in joy and in sorrow, in good times and in bad? And do you pledge to be his, and his alone, for as long as you both shall live? Good to see you. May I please have the ring?
Ring pops. That's actually really fun. I like that. Good one.
Frank and Becky, you have exchanged vows before us today. The words are fleeting, and memories are often lost in time. These wedding rings become enduring symbols of the unity family represents. They are continuous circles of love and warmth, of solace, and devotion. Let these rings be a daily reminder of the vows we were taking here today, and keep the circle of love strong within your family. Frank, please take Becky's hand and repeat these words. I give you this ring as a symbol of our love. For today and tomorrow, and for all the days to come. Wear it as a sign of what we have promised on this day. And know that my love is present even when I am not. Place the ring. Becky, please take Frank's hand and repeat these words. I give you this ring as a symbol of our love. For today and tomorrow, and for all the days to come. Wear it as a sign of what we have promised on this day. And know that my love is present even when I am not. I think the following story, okay, we can let go. I think the following story can best be described as a family parable. It was recited several years ago at Stacy and Matt's wedding, and it has particular meaning to Becky and to Frank. One day, an expert in time management was speaking to a group of business students, and to drive home a point, used an illustration I'm sure these students will never forget. And after I share it with you, perhaps you'll never forget it either. As this man stood in front of a group of high-powered overachievers, he said, "Okay, class, time for a quiz." Then he pulled out a 1-gallon, wide-mouthed mason jar and set it on the table in front of him. Then he produced about a dozen fist-sized rocks and carefully placed them, one at a time, into the jar. When the jar was filled to the top and no more rocks would fit inside, he asked, "Is this jar full?" Everyone in the class said yes. And then he said, "Really?" He reached under the table and pulled out a bucket of gravel. Then he dumped some gravel in and shut the jar, causing pieces of gravel to work themselves down into the spaces between the big rocks. Then he smiled and asked the group once more, "Is the jar full?" By this time, the class had figured this out and said, probably not. Good, he replied. He reached under the table and brought out a bucket of sand. In it went, filling all the places left between the rocks and the gravel. Once more, he asked the class, is the jar full? No, they shouted. Once again, he said, good. He grabbed a pitcher of water and began to pour it until the jar was filled to the brim. Then he looked up at the class and said, what's the point of this illustration? One eager young man raised his hand and said, the point is, no matter how full your schedule is, if you really try hard, you can always fit some more things into it. No, the speaker replied, that's not the point. The truth this illustration teaches us is if you don't put the big rocks in first, you'll never get them all in. When Becky and Frank read this story, it became evident to them that the big rocks in their lives are each other. Take a moment to think of what the big rocks in your lives are. And once you do, make sure the most important things aren't being displaced by some of the least important. With joy in our hearts, we send you off with our deepest blessings. Becky and Frank, you have freely chosen each other, declared your love, and pledged your commitment in the presence of your family and friends as witnesses. As a witness myself for the state of New Jersey, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss each other.